Cheers to all of our friends at home. Tonight, we are here to talk about the Surviving Maine Season 2 series finale. I'm here with Liza. Liza, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. I am so excited that this whole thing has kind of come to, sad that it's come to an end, but excited to have seen it happen, and to hear what everyone has to say tonight. So
I'm super sad too. Like I was just saying backstage, this has been my Survivor night for so long now. It's we had COVID, we haven't had it on Wednesdays, and here you guys came with such amazing episodes, amazing gameplay, and a seriously killer finale, and such deserving finalists. And we are so fortunate here at LRGs today because all 4 finalists are here. We are going to get to hear all of the stories, hopefully some stuff that maybe happened off camera that we never got to see on film. And of course, as always, there are going to be tons of spoilers and dogs in the background as well. So without further ado, we're going to get right to it, and we are going to spoil the winner of Surviving Maine Season 2. Welcome, Brandon. Nice job, buddy.
Thank you.
After 2 years, you finally get to tell the world that you are in the Winners Club. Congratulations.
Thank you. I finally get to not lie about it.
Oh, so you were lying about it too? So your friends and your family?
Well, I mean, no, I told my family.
Okay.
But yeah. But yeah, anytime someone asked, I would be like, no, I get voted out. You'll see. Hey, here we are.
So, Brandon, I mean, you're in the Winners Club now. You won with a 4-3 vote, buddy. Like, that is as close as it gets. You cut it. It was so intense for us to watch the votes getting revealed. I mean, rewatching it today, what was going through you? How are you feeling?
Oh, I was standing here like pacing back and forth, like, oh my god, this is so weird to watch. Because I also I blacked out during the final tribal, so like I remembered crying and singing, didn't remember anything else. I had no idea what was going to happen, didn't know what I said. So yeah, watching it back, it was like experiencing it for the first time. Because it was also 2 years ago, so like I don't remember everything.
Fair enough. That's very true. But I gotta say, I relate to you, Brandon, because I played a season 2 of a series, Pirate Booty Camp, and I was in the same position you were in through a lot of the season, and narrowly won that season in a 4-3 vote as well. And this is also strange because many times throughout these podcasts, I've compared Cameron to the person I sat at the finals with, who also got 3 votes. And I just find that remarkable that I think even Cameron and Craig Bannister, for those of you that are watching that know him, they kind of look similar. They have a similar look to them. And they played similar games as well. So I'm intrigued to get into it. But we're going to get right into this. We're going to bring in all the finalists here so we can hear from everybody. We have the final 3 was Brandon, Cameron, and Tony. And so we're going to bring them in right now. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Hello.
Hey.
And how I see you guys are having cocktails. Well, cheers,
Yeah,
my
cheers.
friends. Absolutely. So let's get into it, guys. Just relived the finale. Cameron, how was that reliving the entire experience?
Yeah, Brandon said he was pacing around the living room. Yeah, I don't think I sat down for the last like 40 minutes of it. It doesn't get any easier. It's been I thanked you guys beforehand for doing this, but honestly, it's a little bit of like a blessing and a curse type of thing. Like rewatching and reliving all of this, it's difficult, but like it was really cool to see things from like a 360-degree view that like you just weren't able to see out there, and it really puts certain things in perspective, and other things that solidifies some things that I've been feeling for 2 years or things like that. It's been altogether a positive experience. So it was just honestly like out of body a little bit.
I absolutely, I can imagine, and a lot of people are commenting on your new look, Cam.
Yeah, I really leaned into the COVID lifestyle here. It's getting hot here, so it's coming off soon.
And Tony,
Hey.
dude,
Man.
really quick, my friend.
Yeah.
Do you know how many games you've applied for at all?
A few here and there.
A few here and there. That's fair as well. I'm so proud of you. I hope you've listened to some of these because I know you've tried. You have tried so hard so many times, and buddy, you hit the finals. You hit it running. I'm so stoked for you. How does your daughter feel about her dad?
Errol's been great. We've been sitting with the family watching the shows, and she's like, "I wonder if my dad's going to get voted out tonight." I'm like, "I don't know. Let's find out." So I mean, it's been great. No.
So you didn't tell him? You let him guess every
No,
week?
I just say keep watching. I mean, I would hint like, "Oh, I hope I make jury." So you know.
Lying in the game and out of the game, I see. Okay, so next we're gonna bring Wonder Woman, the Rob Goddess of Final Four. I put her at the top of my list. She was right there with Sarah. I thought they were gonna take this thing, and I still think, Jazzy, at some point you are going to. Thanks for making this such a journey for me. Jazzy, welcome to the show.
Woo!
Hello.
Hello, cheers.
Cheers.
So
I still love you guys.
We still love you. We still love
Yeah.
you.
It's
So
funny
this is-
though. My mom, I left and headed to. I was at my parents' house and I left and headed to I'm at my best friend's house right now to watch this, and she's like, "Don't cry," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna cry. I cried on film. I won't cry watching it." And man, I cried watching it.
It was I'm right there with you. I got a text from my dad that was like, "There's no crying on Survivor," and I was like, "I dare you not to cry after 4 days." And then also I was crying while watching. So
let's dig into that. Like what made this experience so emotional to relive it for you, Jazzy?
Just hindsight is 2020. There's so many things that I wish I would have done differently, so I could have sat in the final three. But the most emotional part is just these relationships that grow in this 4-day experience. I mean, I feel like I know Cameron and Brandon and Tony better than people I went to high school with. It's just this really strong bonding time, and it's emotional to watch them get emotional, and just to see the love that we had between each other is something special. So nothing but love here.
It's absolutely really special to watch a tribe with such a core group that come together. I mean, let's just look back really quick at how it all started with your original tribe. And I'm just curious.
So young and naive in these pictures.
What was that first night like for you guys? I finally have you here. We've heard just rumblings in the confessionals about this. I've never heard you three really talk about it yourselves. I'm just curious to know about the fireside chat. What really came down in that? Was that the alliance that was created? Brandon, why don't you take it away to start?
I don't even know if we even made an alliance that night.
I don't think we did. No,
I don't even know. Yeah, we just talked about ourselves, I guess. We didn't talk strategy hardly at all, if I remember correctly. God, it's been so long. All I remember pretty much is we stayed up all night and we were dead the next day.
Yeah, I think, the two of them stayed up. I tried to go to bed. Within 20 minutes had a tick crawling on my eye and was like, I'm not sleeping. So I maybe spent 20 to 30 minutes trying to sleep in the tent, and I got up and I saw them around the fire and I was like, all right, I'll hang out with these guys. And it was two people that I had gotten along with that day, and it was clear that Jazzy was never going to sleep. The way that she was approaching the fire was just like, I am not going to sleep all night. And so I was like, all right, that sounds like a fun thing that we could all bond over. And yeah, I don't even think we did. There was no alliance made. There was no hey, us three to the end or anything like that. It was really just a mutual appreciation for the fact that the three of us were all super fans and we're all going to play this game as hard as we possibly could. And I think that was like a cool understanding between the three of us the whole time, that maybe we weren't each other's number ones, maybe we weren't whatever, but we all knew where we were, how we were approaching the game essentially.
So if there's something to bottle up and take away from this for a future Survivor player of any season, would you obviously recommend this strategy, even though you didn't come up with an alliance? That bonding in the first night, Brandon, is that maybe what solidified day 2, day 3 to day 4?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a lot of time in the game to get to know everyone before the actual game starts. So I feel like taking every second that you can to get to know whoever you can is beneficial. It worked out for us that we ended up like swapped together and then we merged together and we had the numbers. Like, it definitely was like we lucked out, but it definitely helped us.
So are there any stories from the early Lombard days that you guys remember that weren't on camera that might stick out? Any memorable moments with this cast?
We set up 2 camps. I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
We spent, so we got back and we tried to set up camp on this like rock forest almost for no reason, like this part of the forest that was just all rocks. And then we were like, why don't we move 50 feet over there after we had already like set up a fire pit, started like gathering logs. And so I don't know, that was another one of those like things that was just kind of a like screw up by our tribe, like same as getting lost. That was like weirdly a bonding experience of just like everyone really handled it really well. I think that was the thing about like our tribe that was really good, of like no one got mad, no one did anything. Like it was just kind of like let's laugh it off and like have some fun, like moving the camp 100 feet to the left where it's actually grass over there, you know.
That's a pretty good one. I remember a season that I watched where a tribe built their camp directly over where production hid the immunity idol, so they couldn't ever find it because they built like essentially a floor to their shelter. So at the end of the game, they were all like pleasantly surprised that nobody could find it, and that's why it wasn't found the whole season. Let's get into the game a little bit, or the episode. So at Final Four, we have the 4 of you guys, and you're all thinking of your best shots. Who should you sit next to make your best case? I was completely unaware that it was a Final 3. Tony comes in and even says, I think you say that it was a final, you think it's a Final 3, but I don't think so, because Liza, you smartly say at the start of the challenge, this is your Final 4 immunity challenge, but you never said it was their final immunity challenge. So I'm just curious to think, did any of you actually suspect it could have been a Final 2? No?
The timing really was getting tight, and I think that made us set it off. And then I think the final challenge was that ladder challenge, which the ladders were set up the whole weekend. So that's why you saw Brandon have the confessional about it and things like that. Like the ladders were there for us to look at the whole time. And we knew that was kind of like the piece de resistance of the weekend. Like, I feel like once that was the challenge, like you knew that was kind of the last one. I don't know how everyone else felt.
Yeah, I had a gut feeling it was a Final 3, but then because I overthought everything, I was like, maybe it's a Final 2. Yeah.
Speaking of the challenge, that ladder puzzle is intense. It is so realistic to an actual Survivor challenge. That must have been so cool putting that thing together. So Liza, you had that challenge up the whole time. Was that your intention? Did you want to hide it, or did you want to kind of keep it out as a teaser?
I think it was less like I wasn't necessarily concerned with people seeing it. Because seeing it isn't going to give you any advantage other than knowing that it's coming. It really was like a logistics thing, and trying, like we set it up like a week before the game actually started, just to make sure that it was done and we didn't have to worry about it. And because that final day, the setup is really challenging and things are moving really quickly. Yeah, so we just set it up to get it done and get it out of the way. And I was okay with people knowing that it was coming.
So essentially, it's like one of the challenges you've seen on Survivor, where you place the pieces onto the ladder to create the steps. You go up the steps, and up there are knots to untie. Where you grabbed, I don't remember what that was. Key.
It was a key. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
key.
Mm-hmm.
And that went to unlock an axe, which
A
then
hatchet,
went
yeah.
a hatchet, which would raise a flag. Cameron, you dominated that, and you dominated individual immunity all season. Yes, absolutely. That's 4 sips.
Sorry,
Because
trying to
my
cheers
friend,
with
that's 4 wins in one season. I think, doesn't that put him in the top of like LRG survivors, to my knowledge? I don't know of any other season where somebody's won more than 4. So I think you're the king of that.
I know Ozzy won 5. Is that right? Did I do that right?
Yes. So if we include the actual
Include
show
the actual Survivor.
where it was set up for him to kind of win, probably 5. I mean, we could talk about that, but
Whoa, Kirk. Whoa, Kirk. Take
But
off the tinfoil hat.
yeah, that's true. But Cam, like, seriously, like, that was pretty incredible. What were the 4 challenges that you won?
Yeah, so I won the first one at the merge, which was the ball on a platform one, and that was one that, like, honestly, that's one of my favorite challenges in Survivor. So it was really cool that Liza put that in there, and like, I don't know, I had the confessional, and I was like, oh, like I should have won, like, you're stupid, but like, I don't know, it was one of those things of like, you just get in there and it's like something that you love, and I feel like everyone here can at least relate to just like getting carried over by the moment of like, oh, this is something that like I've seen them do, and I felt like, oh, I want to try my best because I want to see if I could do it on the show or something like that. So I won that one, and then there was another one where Tony and I were stacking the wood chips on each other. And then there was the fire making competition against Becky, which, obviously it was probably wouldn't have won it maybe without Tony and Jazzy's wood help there. Although, who knows what could have happened there, but it was definitely thankful for their help. And then the last challenge there.
I really wanted to get into the fire making challenge, Cameron, because that's very humble and that's very fair. I might have a different perspective. I don't know if I brought it up in the podcast, or I can't remember if I did or not, but do you think, I'm going to ask you, Brandon, do you think it might have had the jury seen what was happening? And sometimes in LRGs, they can see challenges, you just don't know about it. How do you think the jury perceived the action of kind of giving up immunity to another player at such a close point? Or does it matter in the game that you played? Do you get the question I'm asking? It appeared to me, Tony and Jazzy, as if you were just kind of like saying, I'm throwing in the towel.
I don't think they were. I mean, I'll let Brandon answer. I guess I think that's a misunderstanding of what they were doing. I mean, I think they were playing their game. I mean, I think they couldn't beat Becky at the end, and their game was to make sure Becky lost that challenge, right?
That's fair. So my question then is, does it look better for Brandon not to do that? Is that kind of a stronger move to say, hey, no, but I'm going to continue trying to play this challenge? Of course, Brandon was in a different situation, but is it maybe perceived as a stronger move?
I mean, I don't know. I think it depends on what Becky said to them when they got to that point, because they didn't watch the challenge. So like, I think it all depends on how it made Becky feel in that moment. So it could have been, it could have been taken either way depending on how Becky felt about it. But I honestly don't know. I never talked to the jury, so I have no idea.
So let's get into some kind of superlatives about the season. What were you guys'? I want to hear from each of you. What was your favorite challenge throughout the season? Let's start with Jazzy. What was your favorite challenge?
I loved the calling challenge that we won when Brandon and Becky were prancing around. Like, it was an awesome challenge to play, but it was also like an awesome challenge to watch on YouTube. So that was my favorite for sure.
Tony, what was your favorite challenge from the season? I think I could guess, but
well, my favorite challenge is Bang Bang Pop Pop. It's the smashing the plate thing, the one that I won, and that was just a lot of fun because there was a bunch of, you had to think about how people would answer, like who it is, and that was like right up my alley. And then I got to like smash a hammer down and like break stuff. So it's great.
Sweet. Cameron, what was your favorite challenge?
I think the last one. I think the ladders were really cool. I think Liza, you said Sam built those, right? They were just like really well made, really cool, and it felt like a real cool like Survivor puzzle. Yeah.
And you had the whole epic. You got to chop the rope and the flag raises
sure.
up.
Selfishly, obviously, yeah. Selfishly, yeah.
Like that's like on my Survivor bucket list, is just to experience that chop. The flag goes up and you feel that. Brandon, what was your favorite win?
I would have gone with the blindfold challenge as well. That one was my favorite. It's my favorite Survivor challenge in general. So to be able to do it was so much fun. And like only one out of the 3 tribes won. So like we were going in like, what are we doing? We have to win this. But since Jazzy said that, I'm going to go with the first challenge that was in the episodes, because one thing that wasn't shown is me face planting during the very first challenge. I literally fell on my way back to the mat, and I got up and just couldn't stop laughing. Like, so like that's one of my biggest memories from the game. So like that is definitely one of my favorites.
I'm trying to remember what the rewards were all season, but do any of the rewards stick out to you as something that was like really crucial? You were so happy to have won that, Jazzy?
Toothbrushes.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
I was very excited in the editing, thanks Taylor, of woo, we get to brush our teeth, yay, we get to brush our teeth. Like I can kind of see myself as a baseline annoying person after watching this season. So,
No.
Toothbrushes are for sure critical, especially if you want to have some close-up conversations after 3 days of playing Survivor. Any others stick out to you guys as like pretty crucial? Like you were just so excited to win that particular thing, or something that you missed big time? Is there something that while you were out there for 4 days you wanted so bad?
Spaghetti.
Yeah, the spaghetti dinner. Yeah, that was torture.
Dude, spaghetti dinner was great. Drinking beers with Sarah and Toby and Forrest and Emily. That was a really good reward. I loved it.
Was that the one with the beers? The spaghetti and
Yeah.
beer?
Yeah,
Oh.
it was included.
That's so many calories and carbs right there. Like you're set for the rest of the game after that. Did you ever get hungry? Did you get pretty hungry out there? Like compared to like, I'm trying to remember. Cameron, you've played multiple seasons or 2 series, right?
Yeah, this was the only one that was overnight. So I met Liza playing a 1-day game in Brooklyn, Survivor Brooklyn South. So this is the only one that I went overnight. And yeah, to me the hunger hit really hard. And just like you could sense the loss of certain things. Like the second day I definitely had a huge headache and felt nauseous, and then the third day I was kind of really out of it, and the fourth day obviously we were all super emotional. Like the hunger and lack of sleep really gets to you.
Absolutely. I mean, you guys talked about how you normally wouldn't be that emotional in front of people and how that impacted it. Let's get into, for people who watch this and they're super fans and they want to be in maybe Surviving Maine season 2, let's get into how you guys got cast. So Brandon, what was your process? How did you find out about this? And what did you do to get cast?
I want to say that I just like the ad showed up on Facebook. I think that's what happened. I think we're gonna go with that. And I'm a procrastinator, so I waited until like the last week to apply. I also waited until like the last day to send in all of my paperwork. Like biggest procrastinator ever. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I found it on Facebook. I had previously applied for Survival Challenge when it was in Maine, and I wasn't cast for that. So I was like, well. Once it left Maine, I was like, well, I guess I can't do it now. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, finally.
That's amazing. And you know, there's other survival challenges too. Were you, Brandon, you were looking for a game in Maine?
Yeah, because I can't afford to fly anywhere. So it was like close. It had to be close.
Absolutely. And you're fortunate because there's a lot of games in kind of like the East New England kind of area too. So there's not too far. There's many other opportunities to play. It's kind of like there, the Midwest and the Pacific Northwest, we have like 3 big like hubs for LRGs. So Cameron, how did you find out about the season and get cast?
Yeah, so like I said, I had played the Survivor Brooklyn South with Liza, which is a great game. I recommend it if you guys can't do like a multi-day game. Some people just can't do that or don't want to do that. That's a great one-day adventure. And then so I was friends with Liza. We had gone to some of the Boston meetup groups together, and she posted saying that she was looking for someone to help with the logo for a new season she was doing. And so I actually helped design the logo. You can see it. My girlfriend kindly printed out a poster behind me. So I helped design the logo, and I was like, I hope that doesn't disqualify me from like applying. So I still applied, and luckily, obviously, I didn't learn anything about the season. I just knew the logo and got in.
So, that's savvy, Cameron. I want to talk about that in a second. So my theory is that production is the third team. If there's 2 tribes, production is always the third team. They never get voted out, and so you always want them to be very happy. And so I think that's kudos to you. I always think helping out production is always a good, smart choice. Tony, how'd you get cast, buddy?
Oh, okay. That's a little bit of a story. A few years ago, I played an amazing game called Reelfoot in season 4, and it's like, dear to my heart. And that was like my really first like stab at a Survivor, a live game. It's like everyone wants to play Survivor. It's a live game, so I was like thrilled. So then I seen something like some of these real footers I know. They came up and like played like the first season of Maine. I was like, wait a minute, there's something other than Reelfoot. So next thing I know, I put in my application. I get a denial, but then I get a follow up like, hey, do you still want to come up here? I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. So like, and the rest is history. So thank you, Liza.
Anytime.
Right.
Clearly, we're all very happy you made the cast. You had some of the most memorable quotes from the entire season, Tony. I mean, so entertaining to watch.
Thanks.
Jazzy, how did you find out about Surviving Maine? How did you get cast?
Somebody sent it to me on Facebook. I don't even remember who. And then I sent it to Sarah. And I was like, let's do this together. Let's hope we both get cast. And we did. And we ended up on the same tribe. It didn't work the way that I wanted it to work. But yeah, that's kind of how I got cast.
Well, yeah, I mean, clearly Sarah had the opportunity to choose somebody else, and she didn't take that opportunity. And Tony, like, narrowly survived the entire swap. So kudos, buddy. It's funny because you narrowly survived, and so did, I mean, if you look at it, isn't it Becky who was also out of the numbers, but she just didn't go to tribal, right? Wow. It's pretty incredible to think that they were in such like precarious situations, but still got all the way to the final 5 and further. So, it's not a Survivor journey with, it's going to have highs and lows. And I'm curious to know how you guys persevered. We talked a little bit about the hunger, the sleep deprivation, the emotional ties that are so hard to balance, like your bonds and loyalty with somebody versus the best gameplay. So what was maybe one of the lower moments for you that you persevered through? What was one of the lowest things that happened in this journey for you? I guess anybody can kind of go, because this might not pertain to everybody here, but did you have something that you kind of, a rock wall you hit and you got through it?
Everyone knows mine, so I'll just go first. Mine was obviously the final 7 when there was the miscommunication with Becca and Becky and, that whole fiasco. That was definitely mine, as everyone knows.
And so that was a miscommunication.
I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
remembering
No,
it back,
was.
like
Yeah.
so in the episodes, everyone talked about how Becca was not in the circle, but there was specifically a circle of myself, Becca, and Cameron right before tribal, and we had all talked about voting Jess. And so I still believe it was just a miscommunication.
Yeah, I'll echo that. I still am with you, Brandon, that I think it was a miscommunication. I still vividly remember saying to them outside of tribal, yeah, I would say that moment is when the day 2 we had a reward that we didn't have, or that we didn't talk about, was the maple syrup and the pancakes, and I never felt more sick than the morning after I ate that, and I was really not feeling the whole second day of that adventure. But probably, I mean, the lowest moment, honestly, to me was the 7th vote being read. It doesn't get lower than that, but it was, all highs and lows between that.
That's fair. Wait, what is this pancakes and maple syrup? Did we not see this, or was this in it? I forget.
We won like a breakfast kit in one of our rewards the first day. And we didn't have a pan, so we had to cook the pancakes in a bowl. And so it was just these little lumps. It was like these little balls of pancake. And then we had the maple syrup, but we had no way of eating it. So it was just like
we kind of just chugged a little bit of maple syrup. Yeah, disgusting mush that really sat so terribly. I don't know. Tony, I think, just powered right through it.
Yeah.
It was okay, Tony. It was decent.
I had a strong stomach.
When you're out there, guys, you will eat about anything. Was there any weird shit that you guys ate? Like, did anybody try any like survivory stuff? Like Forrest out there, was he eating bugs ever? Do you know? Nope, nothing. Okay. Well, very, very, very smart survivors. Nobody's gonna eat weird shit.
I would say that my low moment was pretty obvious, which was the touchy subjects challenge. It was hard to not take it personally. I'm still irritated by that. So #annoyed will probably forever be me when I think about the touchy subjects challenge. But there were so many more highs that just like cancel all that out.
We know that you didn't actually get voted most annoying, right? Like, I hope that doesn't stick with you or anything like that.
Yeah, it was Forrest.
The touchy subjects challenge is always something that is touchy. It does impact the game. Did anybody strategically say their answers in the sense that you didn't answer with your heart, you answered with your brain strategically? We're seeing this more and more in LRGs. I'm asking this because somebody who just won a season, I think it was he won. He answered himself for all of the questions except for a choice few.
I definitely answered with my brain and not my heart. So, whatever. I think strategy comes into play and that's cool, but still hard to not take it personally. You know what I mean?
I know when I was answering, like publicly answering, I did one wrong on purpose. With like, who would you want to be friends with outside the game? I think I said Becky and not Jazzy and Cameron, like I probably would have.
So we've gone over some of the rewards, lowest of the lows. Any other lows? Because the next thing I wanted to do was to talk a little bit about Final Tribal Council and start getting into the jury members and who you felt like were the influencers of this jury. So let's get into that actually, because that's this episode. So this jury's made up. Jazzy, you become the 4th member of the jury. We could talk a little bit about this if there's anything more. It does come across, I've been there. In the last season I just played, I was the 4th. I was the last person of the jury. I was in the same position and I felt very defeated, like it was tricky to get out of there. My partner thought maybe you were attempting to try to create a 2-1-1 vote. We see this happen sometimes when somebody's back is against the wall. And when you were talking to Cameron, did that any time go through your mind, or were you just like, I'm going to go here? That's what it felt like. But at one point you were talking to Cameron and I felt like maybe you were trying to get Tony and Cameron to maybe vote differently.
I definitely was trying to get them to bring me to the finals, but at the end of the day, by that point, I had cried and inhaled so much fart juice in the porta potty that I honestly, like, looking at it, I'm like mad at myself. Like, why didn't you push a little harder? Why didn't you allow them to feel okay with not taking you to the end? That's something that kind of bothers me, but like that kind of plays into the emotional aspect of it. You know, I was so emotional and so drained that I was just like, this is what it's going to be. Here we go. I'm getting Devins. You know, that's kind of how I felt.
Absolutely. So Cameron, you mentioned at one point that you and Tony are pretty tight, that Tony's a locked vote for you. Did you ever, sometimes this is a little touchy. I've never done this with the whole finalist cast here. But Tony, I think you even mentioned that Cameron, you thought he played one of the best games out there. And I know you wanted to sit next to Tony. Do you feel like maybe there's a different scenario for the finals that you could be in where Tony's on the jury and votes for you? Is there another scenario where you sit next to two other people and you win?
If I voted out Tony there and went with Jazzy, then yeah, it would have been great. I think Jazzy would have probably won 6-1. Jazzy, I think it was the jury did a really good job of obfuscating it a little bit, like with some of their actions, and definitely they got into Jazzy's head about it, and so she didn't feel as confident as she deserved to be. I think she deserved to kind of walk around and kind of be that person that was like, I'm gonna kick ass at Final Tribal. Instead, you saw her in her confessionals feeling like she didn't have a chance to win. But if we had gone a different way and brought Jazzy to the end, we would have been lucky. Maybe I would have got Tony's vote, but I don't know if Brandon or I would have got any votes. In my head, obviously in the moment, you're the hero of your own story, and you're like, well, maybe I can get these 2 votes or these 3 votes, and it'll be a split, maybe a 3-2-2 or something like that. And so like my heart, like I was saying, like wanted me to bring the 2 of them there because we shared that moment the first day. We worked so hard together, like in all these things. But at the same time, I shared that bond with Tony as well. Like we did work together, and I really owed it to Tony to bring him to the end in the same way that I owed it to Brandon and Jazzy. And so I had to go with Tony. I think at Final Four, that decision wasn't what would have changed the outcome there. I think maybe earlier decisions, but definitely not that one. I think that was the right call. Jazzy would have won convincingly, I think.
Absolutely. I feel like even watching it from our perspective, and I think your breakdown of the Edgic, we can look at that in just a second. I think you highlight how the dominant position she was in the edit with her complex personality constantly being shown. But my question kind of goes back further than that, to be honest, because I think it's pretty obvious that you don't win against Jazzy. You talked a lot about Becca being somebody you could sit next to, and I do think she did have some different types of relationships, but I think you might have had definitely a shot against Becca. Is there if it's so Brandon and Jazzy, if it is Tony, Cameron, and Becca at the end, is it who do you vote for?
Cameron.
So Cameron, I think you were right earlier on in the season.
Yeah,
it had to go with your gut.
Yeah, it's that final 6 tribal council. I mean, Brandon's low moment was probably my low moment too. I mean, and it's one of those things where, I mean, it's so overstated and yet understated how these are like snap decisions, right? And so Jazzy looks to me once it's tied and says, who do you want to vote out? And in my head, I'm like, I love Brandon. He's an awesome dude. I want to forgive him, but also Brandon is going to be better at helping beat Becky at the next 2 immunity challenges. In my head, I'm thinking we need to make sure Becky doesn't make it to the end. I can't beat Becky. I probably also can't beat Jazzy. I need someone who can help me beat Becky at a challenge. And Brandon was a little bit better at the challenges. And so I was like, let's keep Brandon in. He's also someone who wasn't supremely mad at me in the moment. And so like, to me, I was like, Becca wasn't going to work with me no matter what. Like, that's a closed door, although that's very stupid. You should never close doors in Survivor. So, I mean, these were stupid mistakes by me. Logic in that moment was, hey, Brandon's an open door and can help me win the challenge. Let's keep him in the game. But obviously, I think hindsight, if I knew that I was going to win the last 2 challenges, keep Becca in. And yeah, hopefully I get to the end with the 3 that I wanted to. Yeah.
One of the things that we see again is this old jury format that we don't see on the new Survivor. We're seeing this all the time in LRGs. I'm personally a fan of this, Tony. Were you a fan that it was the old school jury format and not this new school, everybody just talks over each other?
I like the way it went down. Just, you know, looking back to the final jury and jury questions and just everything got stacked up. It just made sense. So I like what production did with that.
So who were the jury influencers, Jazzy? You were there, you experienced it. I know it was a short period of time, but you can kind of get a sense when you talk to them who's kind of shaking and maybe trying to pull other people to their side. Who did you feel like was making the moves on the jury?
Me. I mean, I walked into the jury and was like, this is who I'm voting for. This is why I believe I'm voting for that person. And it didn't go that far. I think a lot of people were on the fence. There were a couple that were set in stone. But for the most part, a lot of people were pretty on the fence between Cameron and Brandon. And I petitioned pretty hard for Cameron. I love Brandon as a person, but like game-wise, I felt like Cameron played that game that I love to watch. So that was me. Maybe Justin a little bit. Justin's mouthy like I am.
That's fair. Yeah. So rewatching this, Cameron, why do you think Brandon won?
Have you spoken to him for more than 5 minutes? I mean, he's a dynamic person. I mean, like he voted for me, and like I should have been pissed at him, and yet I immediately was like, "Oh, buddy, let's still play together." I mean, it's like it's an unbelievable social aspect. I mean, Brandon, I want to say this like in the nicest way, and I think you know that I mean this as a complete compliment because you know we both love Michelle, but like it's an Aubrey Michelle scenario, right? Like I feel like Brandon really is like he was this unbelievable, uncategorizingly like social like powerhouse in the game in a way that like I, as best as I could try, just was never able to build these bonds. And so someone like, I mean, I think you see it with someone like Jess, who like was my ally throughout the game, not Brandon's ally for most of it, yet was way better friends with Brandon than was with me, you know? And that's one of those things that's like unable, like, you know, like it's really hard to show in the show. And I think that's something Brandon was just so good at. And also, I mean, I don't think I was doing that much more strategy than Brandon was. I mean, like he was out there playing a million things and doing alternative plans that I wasn't a part of and things like that. So, I mean, I don't want to, you know, talk up Brandon's game, you know, too much. You give him too big of a head, but I mean, I think he did a great job. And I mean, it's very clear to me in the, you know, an hour after I left, and it's very clear to me 2 hours after 2 years after I left, rather, that why he won the game.
Yeah, and honestly, I would say that if after watching it, I would have thought a little harder about my decision between Brandon and Cameron. I think Brandon's game was under the radar, and he did a good job doing that. So he deserves more credit than I gave him at the end of the game. Love you, boo.
Thanks. I'm definitely like in the I even compared us to Michelle and Aubrey like at that time. And after watching it back, I was like, oh, I'm more proud of myself now after watching it than I was when I was playing it. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like I played better than I gave myself credit for, I guess.
I'm glad you can give yourself credit for it. You guys, all four of you played a really incredible game. Cameron, you kind of talked yourself a little bit down, but you're charming as fuck, my friend. Like it came through the screen the entire time. Jazzy, you're just like one of those people. I feel like you're somebody like at the party, people just kind of like go to you as the like go-to storyteller, just fun to hang with. And Brandon, this is what impressed me, and I wrote it in the chat. Guys, the thing you should bottle up is Brandon at Final Tribal Council in a moment that if you haven't been to it, even in an online game, it can feel this way sometimes. It is incredibly, you're full of anxiety. All of these people are staring at you. You have to tell your story in as eloquent of a way as possible, but you have to be yourself, but also come across as strategic, but nice, but you just voted. It's terribly, there's a lot going on. Brandon, you were able to make the entire jury laugh at the start and the end during your initial comments that you made. I think that emotional response definitely probably might have been one of the factors that helped sway those many people that were on the fence. And I don't know how you did it, because you had to have been going through so much anxiety. You had been through so much in the game at that moment, and you're like, I'm gonna make the jury laugh right now, and then it almost didn't come across as serious, but it came across as real. Whereas Cameron, you really came across as super serious about the game, but maybe less authentic, which you were authentic the entire show. And I'm wondering if maybe that was literally the tip of one vote. I don't know.
It's definitely possible. I don't know, Brandon. I don't know how calculated you were in those moments. I mean, I definitely was like, let's get the point across. I mean, to me, it was really hard because we didn't get a lot of time with the Skitter folks. And so with a lot of the jury being Skitter, I was like, let me try to be as, let me get my business presentation set up and be like, here's point A, B, and C, why I think I should win. Like, here's a great conclusion for you guys. But I think, yeah, like Brandon was very, very authentic in those moments. And I think another thing that sets us apart, like Brandon, like your ability to be authentic about the Becca vote and just even considering going home yourself instead of her, like, I'm going to be honest right now, I wouldn't have thought 2 seconds about it and I would have voted her out. And the fact that you not only were worried about it in the moment, but still thought about it after. I mean, I think that's just your like compassion and stuff that the jury saw,
And so I guess this is I don't know who MJT is, the PhD.
That's Taylor.
Yeah, that's Taylor.
Oh, that's Taylor. Oh, hey, Taylor, I didn't recognize the picture. So yeah, it looks like that emotional response is something that if you want to get to at that final, maybe you want to bottle it up and use it. However, I always like to say, and I know, Cameron, this isn't going to make it feel any better, but I always feel like you didn't win the game, but you got as far as you possibly could as a contestant. It's hard to say you're a loser. You won 4 things. There's so many things on the bucket list of Survivor that you checked off in this one season. My question to you is, what else do you need to check off besides a win?
I've never found an idol. That would be fun. Yeah, I think in terms of the Survivor bucket list, there's not that much besides the win, but the title really means a lot. I think Jazzy and Tony and Becky and Becca and Jess, like all of us that got close and felt like we had a chance at winning, like I can't imagine it feels any different to you guys than it feels to me about, we don't have that title, and that means a lot,
Absolutely. Brandon, for you, you're walking away a winner. This was your first game in real life?
Yeah.
So this is too early to say this. Is there, like, if you'd ever play again, so I'll do it hypothetically, is there anything you didn't do this season that you'd want to do in a future season if you ever played?
I mean, also I didn't find an idol, so that would be fun. I feel like now that I have like a win, now I'm like, ooh, if I played again, I want to be like aggressive. I'd want to play really hard instead of like sitting back and being like, oh, I have to like win. So this time, like, I would want to play more aggressive next time. But also, no, that's it. That's it.
Fair enough.
Can I say something? I just want to say something right now. I think we all have a bucket list. You know what that bucket list? It's all stars.
Oh my gosh. The Lombard 4 just walks into All Stars. They better
Been taken. Don't worry, guys.
Separate tribes, split these folks up. They got to work to get back together. Jazzy, what about you? I mean, you found an idol and you dominated with this idol in a way that we haven't seen in a lot of LRGs. You kind of played it a little bit like Russell Hantz in some ways, that you were like I'm gonna play it. Nah, I'm not gonna play it. I'm gonna play it. Here it is, everybody.
More like a Parvati.
Okay,
for sure, a Parvati.
I don't want to be Russell. I'm a Parvati.
Okay, fair enough. But I do think you threatened with Parvati's a little bit more secretive about her idol, and I think you were kind of like using it at times to your.
Just like Parvati, she gave it to someone else.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe on your bucket list, maybe you could play one for yourself next time.
I think I hit a lot of ticks on anybody's Survivor bucket list. I honestly hit a lot except for winning. I don't know if I'll ever play again, but if I do, I'm going to try to win, and I'm going to try to not be so outwardly aggressive.
There's some
It's
questions
that strong
coming.
woman thing, Kirk.
Oh, Jazzy.
To be fair, I think we all hit a lot of ticks, just to be clear, out in Maine.
Oh, nice.
Sorry.
Oh.
Never mind. I'll go home.
No, it just took a second. It was that was really funny. I'm an English teacher, so I love puns. Okay, that's fucking fantastic. Great. There's some questions in the chat. So for our friends who are watching, if you have anything to ask, even if you were a contestant, even if you were on the jury and already asked them a question tonight, feel free to drop it in the chat. Justin's asking right now, would you want to host a future game? Well, what we can do this is like, let's use it as a chance to talk about it, Brandon. Let's talk about your future game.
Liza inspired me to start my own game, so yeah, this summer.
So
Jazzy and Cameron will be there helping me, so it'll be like a little reunion.
This is awesome. So, okay, so you're inspired by this. Tell us a little bit about the event you're going to host.
Well, it's for charity, so it's a 4-day Survivor event. Most of it's pretty much based on what I experienced in Maine, because that's the only experience that I have to go off of. We've raised almost $3,000 so far, so we're doing pretty good. And yeah, it's gonna be fun. We have 24 players from around the country. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. And you've already raised a ton of money for the charity. What's the charity again?
They're all playing for different ones, so it's like Live to Give.
Oh, great. So is it set up like Live to Give? The further you get, the more money you get for your particular charity.
Yeah.
Okay, so just quick question. I need clarification on this because we'll probably cover it in some way. Is it also where if you raise more money, you might get advantages?
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh.
So the top earner from each original tribe will get an advantage in the game.
Ooh, I like. Is it a secret advantage?
I
I
think so. I don't remember what I told them, honestly. So we're gonna go with yes for now.
Okay, for now. Might change, guys.
Yeah.
There's a question here, but we kind of know what's coming up next for Brandon in the summer regarding this. What's next for everybody else? Anything on the docket? Inquiring minds want to know. Tony, what's next for you? I think this is somebody you know.
Yeah. So after Maine, I go up north and do a little Canadian adventure. Oh,
Ooh, so that's how you satisfy the adventure.
Canadian adventure.
Tony's always traveling so far for these.
Right?
I so want to ask questions. I'm going to be nice about this because we're live. Okay, wow, cool. Jazzy, what's up with your life right now?
Living, loving, working, same old. I'm doing an ORG right now, which is fun. It's the first one I've ever done, so that's kind of fun. I can't really talk about it because I don't want to blow up my game, but yeah, it's pretty fun.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so Jazzy, you're one of the very few. I'm in your boat too, where I played an LRG first before I ever played an org. There's more people.
I did too.
Liza! Oh my God,
Yeah.
we're all old school. That's so cool because usually it's the other way around. I'm Brandon. I'm assuming you're orgs first. Cameron, have you played an org before?
Yeah, I was doing orgs for like 10 years. Yeah, before same as Brandon. Yeah, like before jumping into live. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And Tony, you're from orgs too, right?
Yeah, I play orgs.
Yeah,
They're fun. They're for everybody. I recommend them.
So, Cameron, you mentioned helping out production with the logo. One of the things players might not know about, if you weren't in the viewer group or following some of the posts, Cameron has been updating us weekly with some of the best information. This is Edgic. This is logic and edgic based on the episodes. And we don't need to get into everything for people that aren't into this, but Cameron, was there anything out of this that kind of stuck out to you as maybe a little interesting in regards to the storytelling of the edit as you were creating this?
Some of the characters I didn't know were as like someone like Tricky, who I didn't realize would be as big a character like in his confessionals and things like that, was really cool to see. Or even someone like Emily. Like I didn't get to meet Emily, but you saw Emily got complex personality in the first 2 episodes. She was probably my favorite person to watch in the show. Like that's someone who and Brandon, maybe you were on the right track of wanting to try to work with her because she was so funny and fun to listen to. Stuff like that was really interesting. And then also I think just the subtleties with which Taylor separated Brandon, myself, Jazzy, Becca, or Becky and Becca, like just the subtleties with which those were different edits. Even though you can see a lot of blue, there's different shades of blue there that shows kind of different styles of play. And I think, it was interesting to see what Taylor did with what she had. And I thought it was really true to what real Survivor is. Survivor is always the story of, either why this person won or why this person lost. And I think Taylor did a really good job of showing both, the why Brandon won, but also kind of the robbed edits of Becky and Jazzy, which was really interesting to watch, of just, pumping these characters up just like the show does. I mean, the Malcolms, the Rob Cestarinos, whatever, whoever it is, she really did that like a real Survivor editor. And I think that was really cool to see someone who loves Survivor that much be able to edit the show, because it really came across as Survivor.
Absolutely, 100%. And I will still say this. This is absolutely my favorite edited LRG that I have watched. It was like watching Survivor. We got to see it, for all of the college survivors out there, the one thing that I lack from it is just like down back in the woods, the adventure of it all. And we got that here in Maine. And also, Taylor, if you didn't know this, I've had people hitting me up asking me, like, who's the creator of this? Can you ask Taylor if she'll help our team out? And I'm like, you know what? She's on vacation right now. So go ask her yourself. I'm not your go-to. But Taylor is getting hit up. Everybody wants to work with her. So Liza, don't lose her.
Kirk.
I'm hoping not to. So
Kirk. It's a great segue into something I wanted to talk about a little bit. So a bunch of us from the cast got together and pooled some money together. We got $450 that we're splitting between Liza and Taylor as just like an extra thank you. So Liza and Taylor, I'll be sending you $225 a piece.
oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
You guys are crazy. I was like, why didn't you invite me? I would have given money to Taylor, but I didn't think it was me.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Jazzy, that's
Thank you so
amazing.
much.
That's so cool. Oh, that blindsided. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Jazzy put it all together. So if she's baseline annoying, then I don't know what you all are,
Right.
This just goes to show what an experience this all is. It's a family. These events create families. Taylor, you've worked so hard. I mean, I understand there couldn't be 2 more deserving people. The work you guys put into this event to bring people their dream come true. Gosh, I'm emotional about it, and just knowing that I'm not going to see you guys again next week, and knowing you're going to be all off to your next adventures. So if you want to check out more of this this EDGIC, there's other things that Cam created too: voting confessional breakdowns, episode breakdowns, vote breakdowns. If you want it, you can see it in the main viewing group and other places as well. I'm sure that you've dropped that. Before we go, are there any more takeaways from you guys? Any more memories, experiences, shade, hot tea you want to spill? Anything else?
My girlfriend got me this Carnival Games video game based off of my Carnival Games comment that you guys seem to make fun of me for a lot. So just know that I'm getting roasted for that on the regular.
I hope so.
I won 4 of those Carnival Games, so I feel like I should have whatever. And then I owe Taylor an offline conversation about her thoughts on the tribe split pick, because I disagree with her enforced rationalizations, but I'll save that for Taylor after.
Cam's girlfriend for the win. So if you want to be a part of Surviving Maine season 3, Liza, how could they possibly become a part of this?
Most of the casting happens on Facebook, so you should find us on Facebook, and there's a post pinned to the top with the application. Have your under 3-minute video ready, because you'll have to upload it to submit your application. And I think the dates are incorrect; they still are from last year, but all the applications that are in there are for next spring, so for season 3.
Fantastic. So so you're taking them in. So let's see some new LRG folks into that. So maybe I just apply. I want to see this season happen. I want to see a huge cast. One of my students said, grade our schoolwork. Okay, yes, fair enough. But seniors graduate on Friday and you're a freshman, so you're gonna have to hold out till after seniors are gone. See me on Monday. I can't believe they just busted up into my chat. Grade my homework. Okay, we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, that's gonna be it, friends. This has been such a great time. I will see you guys around. Till next time.